I'm gonna take this right foot, and I'm gonna whop you that side of your face.
Really?
Really?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this rather random and unexpected live stream from me and Mr. Mike Barron, and we're going to talk about what the hell is it called? The Equalizer, which is something. It was a little random. He wrote me out of nowhere and was like, "Hey, you want to talk about Equalizer?" And I was like, "Sure, we could talk about Equalizer." But don't think it's going to be like some total 100% old guy love fest for Equalizer, because I'm not sure I liked it as much as Mr. Mike Barron. So this is going to be an interesting conversation with some ups and downs. He might yell at me, but we're going to find out. And we're going to find out right after this. All right. See you soon.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, as if you don't know, Mike Barron, award-winning writer of Nexus and a Florida Man. And what's the one on the border?
The House on the Borderlands.
Is that what it's called?
Oh, you mean Private American?
Yeah, Private American. Oh, I thought I was having one of those Mandela moments. I was like, wait a minute. That's So how you doing, Mike?
Good.
All right. Well, we're going to say hello to the chat here. I saw Statistical Zero come in, and I've burdened him as our sole moderator for today, and I hope he sticks around and posts some links. I may add some more. I see Mike's in the chat, actually, Mr. Mike Barron. Let me go ahead and add you as
Not
a
me.
moderator. That's not you?
No.
We have another Mike Barron?
You know, when I went to some government office last week, and I found out there were 5 Mike Barrons in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Oh, my God. Imposters. I see Chad's in the chat. I'm going to make him a moderator. I'm going to burden Chad, who should be at a convention right now, so I'm not sure why he's here. But hello to Prater Sevens in the house. Schism. What's happening? Doug 209. Jav Story. J-Bot. Sean Allen. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. As I mentioned right at the beginning, we're going to be talking about Equalizer, not just Equalizer, but the entire series. And it's, no spoilers. I don't think we're going to have spoilers, but I'm not sure. Look at Mike's already ready. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to spoil the hell out of this. So, no, I liked it too. So now this is going to be interesting because there's so much I do like about it. And then so much I'm just kind of, it's okay. But, I'm not the one to really talk about it. I want to hear Mike's interpretation of this. But first, I want to talk about Nexus Scourge, which is a book that Mike and I are doing together. Mike is the co-creator of Nexus, which has been a long-running creator-owned character, and we got a new book out called Scourge. And I was going to read this. Is this it? I was going to read this. Okay, here it is. In this brand new standalone story, Nexus faces a mysterious villain threatening all life. Planets are vanishing from the night sky without trace. Nexus must uncover the truth behind a string of disappearing planets before the universe itself vanishes. With precious few leads and almost no witnesses, the odds seem stacked against survival. How will Nexus save the universe? With the power of love, right, Mike?
Sorta.
Well, don't take our word for it. Here, watch the trailer, and then we'll get to the movie talk.
An ancient evil, billions of years old, wages war on the universe. Entire star systems are vanishing without a trace, leaving devastation in their wake. Nexus, the intergalactic guardian of lost souls, must stop the unnameable terror and its expanding scourge of destruction. The totality of everything in existence will collapse upon itself if he fails. With the fate of the cosmos in the balance, Nexus must confront his most dangerous adversary yet. Can he save creation from total and certain destruction, or will darkness reign supreme? Find out in Nexus Scourge, the all-new epic sci-fi adventure from Eisner-winning co-creator Mike Baron, exploding with Kelsey Shannon's dynamic artwork. Available now at baroncomics.com.
Oh, that looks pretty good. Well, Mike and I are brought to you by the books that we make, which are brought to you by you. So you bring the books to yourself that we make, and then you supply us with the funds to make more books. And, that's how this sort of works. So please, if you haven't already, go ahead and back it today. How much more time do we have on that, Mike?
I think we have until June 10th. And for those who aren't familiar with the book, all I can say is I guarantee you're going to love it. You're going to read it. You're going to read it over and over again. You're going to resent anybody who stops you from reading it.
And I can back him up that it has explosive art by Kelsey Shannon. I've heard. So anyway, let's get on with the show. What we were talking about is Equalizer, and some things that maybe people aren't quite aware of is that Equalizer is based on a hit TV show that you could probably stream today. Here it is, right here. Oh no, that's not. No, no. Who is this? This is Queen Latifah is the Equalizer. No, that's not it. All right, this one right here, the Equalizer. I always remember this image when it would come on TV in that opener, but I have to admit, I don't think I've ever seen it because I don't know Edward Woodward. Were you a big fan of this show?
I did see a couple of episodes. I was not a big fan. It was very tame. It's nothing like the Equalizers we're discussing.
Well, I mean, so yeah, I know. Okay, that's definitely something I want to get into. Is that this is not tame by any means. It's quite brutal, almost to the level of it made my stomach turn a little bit. Maybe I'm just what are you, the tenderfoot? But like I often say that I don't like going to Twitter because I see someone die every time I do it. I feel like I'm saving a life if I don't go to Twitter, right? It's pretty awful. And the violence in this movie makes me feel like when I see some of that on Twitter, it's very graphic and not exploitative at all. I think that's the point, is showing it as realistic as possible and as brutal as it really would be.
I'm going to add a little context here. This actually grew out of a discussion of vigilante movies, and I've talked about vigilantism in America at length recently because it's a proud tradition, both in reality and in our fiction. Wyatt Earp is the archetype of Western vigilante, and Death Wish with Charles Bronson and Dirty Harry with Clint Eastwood are archetypal movie vigilantes. But there are so many vigilante movies, it's ridiculous. They churn out a dozen at least every year. Right now, there are three on the circuit. One is The Beekeeper, starring Jason Statham. Another is The Painter, and another is The Bricklayer. And all these movies feature seemingly quiet men going about their business until something happens, and then they're forced to take action. And in each case, it's revealed that they are a former CIA assassin. That trope has been used countless times. There's a movie a couple years ago called Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk, of all people.
Oh my God.
Same thing. There's a movie called The Mother, starring Jennifer Lopez, of all people. Same thing. And those are just right off the top of my head. I could if I had a little time, I put together a list of 500 vigilante movies.
So is the idea to like nowadays, at least nowadays, to like take someone's profession and then make them like a, you know, they were a covert operative and now they're, you know, presenting themselves as a bricklayer or a beekeeper or a mother. I mean,
it's a well-worn trope.
But it didn't used to be that way, right? Like Death Wish. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, the account. Well, they did do the accountant, actually. I was about to say, it's not like
they did do the accountant.
Yeah, right. So,
Death Wish learned on the job.
Yeah, what was his job? Do you even remember? Kersey?
He was an architect. Paul Kersey was
right. So today it would be called The Architect.
Well, yeah. I mean, nobody has tried to remake that. They tried to remake Bronson's The Mechanic, starring Jason Statham, and I salute Jason Statham. I'm a big fan.
I actually didn't mind that one, his Mechanic.
Yeah, I enjoy seeing his new movie every week.
I like the one where he's in Vegas and he's pretending to be a guy that gets beat up, right?
That's a line for line remake of a Burt Reynolds movie. What is the name?
Was it? It wasn't Stick, was it? Or Sharky's Machine? One of those?
No. It was written by William Goldman. And,
he's good. Wow, William Goldman writing an action flick.
Yeah, it was called Heat.
Called Heat. Right.
And that Jason Statham movie you're referencing uses the same script, believe it or not.
So Stat's saying Death Wish got remade with Bruce Willis. And that's one of the things I was going to mention. After watching this movie.
That's right.
It was not good, at least as far as I remember. And after watching this series of movies, I actually might prefer if Anton Fuqua, the director, and Denzel did a new series of Death Wish, and that way he doesn't have to do a lot of moving. He could just shoot people. Yeah. I know that's probably, I don't know if that's his thing, but I could watch them do Death Wish movies into, you know, the 2030s.
Well, there are only 3, and admittedly, the second one is weak. But the first and the third are powerhouses, and they're how a vigilante movie should be done. And what elevates them above the norm is, first of all, a very smart script, very smart scripts. And secondly, Denzel Washington is absolutely convincing, and his backstory is convincing. In the first Equalizer, he's working as a supervisor at a Lowe's kind of big box store or a Home Depot big box store. And he's the kind of guy that tries to lift up everybody around him. And you believe him. I mean, he really wants to help people. Mm-hmm. And what happens is he can't sleep at night. So he goes to a nearby diner. This is in Boston. And every night he sees the same sad sack, tired young prostitute trying to get a cup of coffee in between her jawns. And one night he sees a limo pull up, and these Russians get out. It's a Russian mob, and they brutalize her. And he knows he has to do something. And so it starts with a bang. It starts with one of the most powerful action scenes you'll ever see in your life. And the guy that plays the villain is terrific. He's a New Zealand actor. Let me just get that out. Name?
Yeah, I mean, when the third one came out, and it has, I can't remember that actress who was like a kid in one of those Spielberg movies, and I thought she was the same girl in the first one, and so now I have no idea. I have no idea who this is.
It was Chloe Grace Moretz.
Oh, okay, right. I'm sure the chat's saying that already. Yeah, maybe.
And the guy that plays I don't feel so bad guy is Martin Sokas. and he's one of the best guys you've ever seen. I mean, you got to admit that guy was convincing and terrifying.
See, this is the thing. I don't remember much of the first one. This is why I was going to ask you when, he starts off already working. He's the, working at the Home Depot. He's the handyman, if it was going to be titled today, not the, or whatever he is. But in the new ones, since I just watched 2 and 3 back to back, they talk about his wife. And I don't remember that from the first one. Did he have a wife, or was this already post-wife in the first one?
She had died before the first episode.
Okay. So he's already been through hell and back, and now he's kind of hiding out, right and wrong.
Not necessarily hiding out. I think the point is that he thought that he had put that life behind him, and now he just wants to be a normal guy and help other people. So he's almost a religious character in the way he tries to help others. There's no reference to religion in it, but he's sincere, and you buy his sincerity because Denzel's an outstanding actor.
Oh, he's great. It's one of my faves.
And as I said, the script elevates it above all others because it's credible. It's credible all the way through. There's no point, as there is in The Beekeeper, where it just jumps the shark. And I was looking forward to The Beekeeper, but what happens is that in order to get revenge, Jason Statham's character, the beekeeper, goes into a massive office building and douses it with gasoline and blows it up, killing countless how many innocent people we don't know. And then later he gets in a shooting match with the feds, and he's mowing down federal agents right and left, dozens of them, killing them. And they're just trying to do their job. And most of these movies do that. They just do that. They feel that they have to keep upping the ante to bigger and bigger firefights and hand fist fights until the protagonist is just killing dozens, if not hundreds, of nameless, faceless protagonists, like John Wick 4.
Yeah, I wasn't that into John Wick 4, to be honest with you. I like number 2 the best, but I like. This is where I think maybe where we divide here. Real quick, is this the bridge in Boston that got hit by the ship?
I don't think that bridge was in Boston.
Oh, okay. I forgot. All right, never mind. Oh, okay. So I like my action like Commando, like Schwarzenegger movies, like what's the Rambo, things like that, where it's over the top, and yeah, they're blowing people up with missile launchers, but it doesn't feel like Anton Fuqua, the director of this, he went from very stylized action to very graphic, realistic. Well, it's stylized action, but very realistic violence. Where he used to stylize violence back in the day, because Mr. Fuqua, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with this guy. I love a lot of his movies, like The Replacement Killers was like the first one he did, that had Cheyenne Fat and Mira Sorvino. I had like a crush on her. Training Day, which was great. I freaking love this movie, but he's actually like a bad guy. Yeah, it's the first time I'd ever seen him play a bad guy, I think. I don't know, but that's an excellent movie. King Arthur, I don't know. I need to watch that one.
Seen that.
Yeah, really stylized. But then Shooter, which is a decent flick, but like, I can take it or leave it. And then there's a bunch of these. But then he hit Olympus Has Fallen, which I like a lot, but it is so brutal. I mean, there's just like this movie, these series of movies, they're like stabbing people in the head, and you get to watch it in gory detail. So I don't know. I think that on one hand, maybe that's more, what would you call that? The right thing to do is, like, if you're going to show violent action, then you should not glorify it in any kind of way.
I don't think it's excessively gruesome, because I just saw a movie.
But the second one, they threw or the third one, they threw a guy in a wheelchair out a window and hung him.
That's true. That's true. But the head didn't separate from the body.
That's true. That didn't happen until later when that guy goes to see his men and he touches the one guy and his head falls off. Maybe that's a little stylized. That, you know, that's probably not too realistic, but yeah, maybe I'm just getting a little soft in my old age, but I don't know. I found it like almost hard to watch some of that stuff, but on the other hand, it's really well executed. No pun intended. Like the style of it, it's very beautiful. Like the way he films it. I mean, it's like watching a David Fincher movie, but with extreme action and, you know, more like a popcorn movie.
There's a Norwegian film called Sisu that came out 2 years ago. And if you want brutality, that's your movie.
No, I don't. No. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you would describe it. Like the difference between like when you watch when you watch Die Hard. I don't know, the first Die Hard or like what's that Schwarzenegger movie where he goes to Mars? Total Recall.
Oh yeah.
The violence in that is out of control. I mean, people are being literally blown to shreds, but it seems, I don't know, it doesn't seem realistic in any kind of way. Maybe that.
Well, I think that the reason that Fuqua does it is because realism is essential to the movie. And I've said this many times, but a movie has to take itself seriously before the audience can take it seriously. And that does not apply to The Beekeeper with Jason Statham or The Painter or The Bricklayer. Right. They all fly off the rails nearly immediately with this nudge, nudge, wink, wink, oh, that's so cool kind of stuff that you say, well, this isn't real life. This is just staged entertainment, like the vast majority of Guy Ritchie's movies.
Yeah, that's true. I enjoy some of his movies, but yeah, like you say, a bunch of them. Yeah. There's probably a bunch I haven't seen, but yeah, I mean, I see this one is definitely very consistent in like what you're talking about. It's realistic, even and consistent, especially how Denzel plays him. You know, like he's pretty much the same guy all the way through it. And I don't remember the first one, like I said, but in the second one, he goes through the entire movie without a scratch, though.
Yeah.
Well, he does get knifed a little bit at the end.
It's not as strong as the first or third, but what I like is the climactic battle takes place on an island that's connected to the mainland by a narrow trace. It's called Nahant, and it's north of Boston. I had a good friend that lived there, and I lived in Boston in the 70s, and I've been to Nahant many times, so I can relate. No, I can't relate, but I just say...
You never been in a hurricane there and had an action fight?
But the third one, which takes place in a little town in Italy, I think that may be the best of the lot. And part of what helps that is the complete change in locale and the surrounding crowd. And you can see how Denzel adopts this community, because first they adopt him when he's injured, tracking down a drug dealer. And when you get to the end, you learn that it all started because some scam artist ripped off this working family in Boston. And so he goes to where the scam originated, which is Sicily, and he uncovers this massive drug smuggling operation. And it starts with a bang, as the patron of the winery that's really the center of the drug smuggling operation returns home to find a dozen of his men dead all over the place in gruesome condition.
See, I think that's where the first one, the first one does too, and the third one succeed, is that the opening action beat, the thing that kind of launches you into the story, is part of the storyline, whereas the second one starts off on a train in Turkey and he's wearing like this ridiculous beard, and it's really silly.
I know.
But I did want to talk real quick is that has a very creative action scene in the second one. A couple of them actually, like you mentioned, the last scene being on this island in the middle of a hurricane, and that was a lot of fun. But also this car chase scene in the second one where he's not really fighting the guy, he's just using the car to sling him around. And I don't know why I've never seen anything quite like that. And then there's this great little like finale to it where this camera does this crazy circle thing. But anyway, I found it like really well done. I always applaud like a good action scene. If you can get me on my feet, look at this shot.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that? So, when I got to that scene, I was like, okay, all right, this is not going to be that bad, you know. But then they got really dragged down by this artist kid story. And
You mean the kid?
yeah, the kid. And I'm like, I don't care about any of this. They should have made Bill Pullman, who was doing his best impression of a houseplant, you know. They should have made him the other part of it, the guy that gets kidnapped. Instead, they brought this whole kid's story into it so that they can have. I know maybe they were trying to do some good, you know.
Yeah. And remember,
kids thinking right.
Denzel hands the kid a book by Ta-Nehisi
Coates, man. That kind of shook me.
It ripped me right out of the film.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little wild to hear that out of nowhere. But anyway, it had some good moments. I didn't feel like I wasted my time. But that third one, that third one, I think really, really nailed it. And somebody said it was his swan song. Are they not? I guess they're not going to do any more of these.
Denzel's 70 years old.
Well, that's why they should go into the Death Wish series so he can just kind of walk around slowly.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Another thing about the Equalizer 3 is the decor and the setting.
Yes,
it's so beautiful there in this little Italian town, which is built into a cliff. It's one of the things I like about these southern towns in Italy is they're so vertical.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Denzel's walking up to the church?
Yeah,
walking. Walking.
Well, I mean, with a crutch too, like because he gets pretty messed up in the beginning. But that's one of the things I like about the third one. And my complaint of the second one was that he makes it through the whole thing just invincible. There was no threat really of him getting hurt. But the third one starts off with him getting shot in the back. By a kid. Yeah. And that was great. I thought they handled that moment really well, but it ended up landing him in this small village in Italy that is like a piece of heaven. I mean, it's really I want to live there. Yeah, they do it very, very well, and he gets to meet all the characters, and that's handled in so much better a way. You know, you actually care about like. They introduce this shop owner. He's a very minor character, but you know, you end up caring for all these little minor characters in the town because they're just trying to get through life. And there's this mafia, this brother of this really violent mafia guy, who's just a low life punk. Really, it was like an Italian motorcycle gang, if you can imagine. But yeah, they're like terrorizing this town, and they get dispatched really.
The scene in the cafe.
Yeah. Do you know anything about that? Okay, he does this move.
Yeah,
where he's like, "Did you watch?"
I studied that nerve. And first of all, he tricks the guy into lifting his left hand.
Yeah.
Then he reaches out and he turns it like this.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, and he plants his thumb on that nerve that he mentions, but. I don't know about the nerve. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. You know what? I've seen the movie 3 times. First movie I saw it, first time in a theater is the last movie I saw in a theater. And then I've watched it twice on Netflix, but I'll probably buy it so I can watch it with subtitles and figure out what the nerve is.
Well, I know that move because I had a friend in the Marines who showed me. He's like, the Marines have like 2 moves. You know, they have this subdue move, which is like our only subdue move, as he says. And he was like, go for my, try to go for my throat, and went like that. And he just reached over and did that move. And I was like, oh my God, like it hurts so bad. And just like they present in the movie, and then he's like, got me by my arm, and he forces me kind of like down to the ground. He's like, yeah. And then once we get you about here, we could do pretty much what we want with you. We can break your elbow. We can cave your chest in, all these various things with the heel of our boot. So when I saw that move, I was like, oh man, that's that move. But I didn't know the nerve thing. So I'm curious.
Here's an interesting note about the movie is his federal contact who eventually arrives in the town to investigate him is played by Dakota Fanning. Dakota Fanning played the little girl in Man on Fire.
Right.
We haven't discussed Man on Fire, but it's a masterpiece. It's Tony Scott's best film, and it's
that might be debatable,
incredible. And it's also one of the most brutal films you'll ever see. And in it, Denzel Washington plays a former CIA assassin.
I like the one they did with the train, the one with the runaway train. But no, Tony Scott, absolutely brilliant filmmaker, and he made some of the best Denzel actioners. Yes, and that one. But see, I was a big fan of the original one of that with John Glenn. Did you ever see that one?
Which movie?
Man on Fire was a movie with John Glenn back in the 70s.
It was Scott Glenn.
Scott Glenn. Who's John Glenn? Is that the astronaut?
He's the astronaut. And I tried watching it, but it was snoozeville. It was somnambulant. I just didn't get it. I don't understand how anybody can compare that to the later version.
No. I mean, that's like, he smoked crack and made that movie. I mean, it's like the flashiness and all that stuff, but yeah, great movie. Another great setting too, because they do that it's like in Mexico or Mexico City.
Yeah,
and lots of old architecture and stuff. Just real beautiful. But yeah, Man on Fire. I need to see that again. But so this is like the reunion of. Is this why they were like saying at the beginning? So he calls up Dakota Fanning's character as just an anonymous call to tell, because she's working at the CIA, and he wants to inform about this whole drug smuggling operation that he's at the beginning, and then he gets shot, and then he goes to recover at this small Italian town, and then he drops this dime on the whole operation to Dakota Fanning, and she's like. She calls him Bud, but I think that's just like a sarcasm thing, like, okay, Bud. And then later at the end, he says, calls her buddy. And I was like, is there something to that? And I thought maybe Dakota Fanning was the girl in the first movie who'd made good and became a CIA operative.
No, that was Zoe.
Right. Glowy Grace Moretz or something.
It was Chloe Grace Moretz.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I thought when they did that, I thought maybe there's something to it, but I'd forgotten all about Man on Fire. So, but what makes this? I can tell you like it and you like the character and how it's written and all that. But you were talking before about all these other movies where they jump the shark. And I can understand that as far as like going overboard with like the action and stuff. But what makes this one different to you? Like this series?
It's credibility.
I
mean, it gets wild and very violent, but it could happen. And everybody that he takes out is a known villain. He's not shooting nameless, faceless government functionaries.
Ah, right.
And that happens in all these other movies. Well, not the mother. Starring Jennifer Lopez.
So yeah, he's taken out specific bad guys, real a-holes. But I mean, the way he just takes out, like, okay, in the third one, there's those punk guys, and they set fire to this I guess he's a meat market guy or something. He's got a little meat market or something, some little shop in this village, and they're trying to extort money from him, as mafias do. And I don't know why they only highlight that one guy, but they must have been doing it to more people in the town. But all they did, they burned his store, and then they beat up the cop. There's a cop that who's a part of this, he and his family. And so they start terrorizing the cop. But so far they haven't killed anybody, right? At this point, they're just kind of terrorizing this town. And he brutally murders all of them in the most horrific way and stares him in the eye as he's stabbing him in the head.
That guy was asking for it. And
he was, but I mean,
we don't know that he didn't kill anybody. He just didn't kill anybody in our story.
That's true. That's true. I guess he was just making a judgment call that, that this guy deserves to be put down. But yeah, I was just kind of shocked because he hadn't really done anything. I mean, in the second one, at least, which was not a secret at all, you had that idiot guy who was in the Wonder Woman movie, and he was also Star Wars Mandalorian. He was the Mandalorian. I'm pretty sure that was the guy who played the bad guy in the second one. But when they brought him in, he was a pal of the girl, this woman who obviously had history with Denzel Washington, and they were friends. And he shows up as her partner, and immediately I was like, "That's the bad guy," And they were trying to like, oh, he's got a family, and he was their best friend, and he actually was in Denzel Washington's old team, I guess, his military team. So isn't that right? Do you remember all that?
Not as vividly. I have watched the movie a couple of times. I have it. And I'll probably watch it again, but I know who you mean, and I know why you spotted him as the villain right away.
Because he's kind of a douchebag.
Yeah, he's got that smarmy sheen.
He does, but see, when he gets his just desserts from Denzel, when Denzel dishes out sweet vengeance on him, it was almost like I wanted more in that case, because that guy murdered the woman who was Denzel's friend and his friend.
It's true.
Just for nothing, because it's business. She's one of the women. She doesn't.
We should take an aside for Rambo: Last Blood.
Another extremely violent movie. Maybe the one that started all this intense heads blowing up and knives in faces.
That came out years after the first Equalizer.
Okay.
I do like it. I think it's one of the best Rambo movies because, again, it's pure vigilantism.
Is that the one? Okay, so there's two. There's one where he's in the jungle.
That's the second to last one. That's very good, too.
Okay, so
Rambo.
You're talking about the one where he built all the tunnels.
Yes.
That's one that just, I wanted more. Like, I wanted Rambo. He got the crap beat out of him, like,
he did
really badly. And I know, and I kept wanting, like, grab a machine gun for God's sake,
Well, he did wipe out like at least a dozen people at the end.
That's true. And he went, I just wanted that whole system of tunnels he had. Like, I really, really wanted that whole setup that he had. I still do. I know Mike has that right now. Under his house, he's got a whole system of tunnels.
No, the dogs ate up my tunnels.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Filled them with rubble and dog shit.
Well, so anyway, number 3 is definitely the best one as far as that goes. But again, the things that kind of leave me wanting or leave me kind of questioning whether I'm straight up loving the movie or these things bother me too bad. But like at the very end of the third one, with spoilers. There's this great scene which was very tense, and I didn't know how the hell they were going to get out of it. In the town square, he comes out, and he basically is going to give himself up to save the town, right? Because they're in there and they're about to like burn this town to the ground until they give him up, and he just comes out and is like, "I'll give myself up," and lays his guns down. But I mean, he doesn't even get his hands off the gun before the bad guy's like saying, "No, this is the best place to kill you, right here in front of everyone, so that they'll know better." And but then everybody pulls out cell phones, like the whole town. Do you remember this part?
Is that where he walks away, and the next thing you know, this car slams into one of the bad guys and kills him?
No. That was earlier. That's that scene with the thugs. That guy's brother, who was just a punk who was terrorizing this little town with his little gang, and they were brutally murdered by Denzel Washington for. Well, I mean, they did burn down the guy's store. I guess that was deserving of a knife through the mouth, But, and like you say, he probably has murdered other people. But so in that scene, it ends with like everybody pulling out their cell phone and refusing to like back down. It's like, no,
right. That's
yeah.
right.
So if you're gonna do this, you're gonna be on live TV. So it gets the drug lord guy to back down.
Well, that was the town turning the tables on him. It was
Right.
People saying we're not going to be intimidated anymore because this guy's giving us hope.
Yeah, it's kind of a classic scene. It's like you see that a lot in westerns and stuff. Where guy comes to save the town, or he doesn't intend to save the town, but he gets caught up in the town's troubles, and then he's like the only one that fights back, and then the town sees that and they rise up to. I mean, hell, they did that in Bug's Life from Pixar, so they. Very classic kind of trope, but I'd never seen it done with cell phones. So that was, I guess, that was new.
Oh yeah, it is new. It's a new twist, and it points to an unmistakable fact, which is the only thing the rich and powerful fear is bad publicity.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, but I didn't see that he. Okay, the scene right before that, the head of the cops. It's like, granted, it was right after his kid brother's funeral, and the head of the cops comes to see the drug lord guy.
Oh yeah,
and he's like saying, "This is very brutal too, very over the top." I didn't mind this one as bad for some reason, but he's like, "I don't want to hear about this right now." He's like, "You're gonna hear about it because like the CIA is involved and all this stuff." And finally, the guy's like, "Know your place," and the cop stands up. Like I thought this was like the dumbest move, but he gets up and he threatens him. He's like, "No, you know your place. I'm the head of the police." So you know what's coming. I mean, they chop his arm off like you do, or his hand, and basically get the guy in line right then, which was really intense.
If he survived.
But it's that makes me wonder why he gives two craps about being on TV. I guess that's a much broader audience. I mean, that'll be broadcast worldwide, probably. Some maniac gunning down someone in a town square.
Well, because that's going to attract negative attention and force the authorities to act.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, chopping off the police chief's hand wouldn't probably do. I guess if that guy didn't say anything, I fell down some stairs.
I think the impression was that the mafia controlled the police there. That they were more powerful, and there were too many cops on the take.
So we're getting to the part that really kind of gets me. All of this stuff was kind of fun. Like I liked all this, but then, so the cell phones get the guy to back down, saves the day. That was great. I was kind of like, oh my God, please don't shoot any of these people in the face and make me watch it, because I like this town, And so they managed to get him to back down, and he goes home and they're eating tacos or something. They're eating, they're Italian, so they're eating pizza or something in their room, and they're all like, "We're gonna get that guy," which I thought was kind of funny. And they're like, "Tomorrow, we're gonna do it tomorrow." let's get some good sleep, guys, first. And then, and then of course, spoilers, of course, Denzel's not going to wait till tomorrow. He's going to go and take him out right then. So, of course, he's dropping, bodies down sunlights and atriums right under the guy's bed and, really milking this guy's death. Everyone is already dead. He's like, Angelo, they're already dead. We didn't even need to see any of that because we knew that was going to happen. So the big climax is he gets stabbed a little bit. They pump him full of drugs. Like the drugs that he's smuggling, I get the idea. They don't show it, but they show him dropping a bunch of pills, and then he's tied up, and then he's like frothing at the mouth from all the drugs. And I'm like, okay, he's just gonna let him die of drugs. But then he cuts him loose, and then he starts walking out of the house, crawling out of the house, and Denzel's watching him, and then he's crawling outside and down the street. And then there's like the Day of the Dead or some funeral procession or something going on. I didn't really understand what was happening in the town. Some event where the town was gathering and they were carrying statues.
That where Denzel took it to the mob boss and killed him. That was in a major city. It may have been Naples.
Yeah, I think it was Naples because they
cut back to the town.
Okay. So this sequence, let me bring this up. This went on. Also, I thought this was funny. Like each time how they show, this is a little off the subject, but how they introduce, here's our hero in the first one looking very like normal. And then like the next one, he's like, dressed in like this ridiculous beard like this. And then in this one, he's very like normal. He's pretty much like him now. He's not trying to be anyone else. But so this sequence at the end here, it goes on for literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes of this walking him. He's on his knees, crawling down the stairs. It's like puking down the street, through the gate. We'll see. We're going to go downtown a little bit, past some people. It was a little underwhelming, to be honest with you. And that's it. That was the big finale, was that he'd already killed everybody off camera. And then we're going to watch. And I get that that's like a great catharsis, right? That he's like, we're going to make this guy really suffer because he's such an a-hole and he's going to burn this town otherwise. But I don't know. It's not what I want, like him, to go in, and I want to see him dispatch all the bad guys. I want to fill that time up with action. I was like, how long am I watching this guy crawl down the street?
It was long, but before then, he kills a lot of guys in the house, and you see it. He just does it very quickly.
Oh, okay.
He grabs the guy from behind and slits his throat.
Oh, yeah.
And he shot a couple others with a suppressor.
I must have been fogging out from all the violence by that point.
You have to watch it several more times, and then
that's true. Yeah, I need to watch it some more. But yeah, I mean, I just felt a little underwhelmed. As strong as this one was. And she got blown up. She almost got into this car, and we're not even showing this. I thought I was showing all this. Yeah, where he was crawling. I don't know if you saw any of this stuff. Maybe you did. See, there he is, crawling down the street. So, but yeah, so she got blown up. So then we get the epilogue. And who were these people again that she was giving money to?
That started the whole thing off when Robert McCall, and that's the Equalizer's name, discovered that these scammers had stolen this working couple's entire life savings through some kind of scam.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and that's what sent him to Sicily in the first place. And then he discovered the drug operation and all this other stuff. So at the end, he sends Dakota Fanning with a bag full of $380,000 in cash. And she says, I just want to return this to you. And the couple look in the bag and they start crying and holding each other. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, I guess I grew up with Schwarzenegger and holding like an M60 or whatever that was, just mowing down bad guys and chopping their heads off with saw blades in epic cartoony fashion. And so watching the how this played out, just it was just such a drag almost for me. So that's kind of the only part, and that's such a I feel bad for saying that because I do like this movie. I love Denzel. Like, I'm a big fan of Denzel. Again, if you think about, like, the first movie I ever saw him in was Ricochet. You ever see Ricochet?
Yeah, I've seen it.
With John Lithgow. I mean, talk about absolute ridiculous stuff.
Denzel has made a lot of bad movies.
Yeah, I love that movie though, but it's like, so this is where I think it's just kind of a different style, where that one is so over the top that, like, they're in prison and they're taping phone books to themselves like samurai so that they can have a samurai fight in prison. John Lithgow and some big it was Jesse Ventura, I believe. So you can only imagine Jesse Ventura and John Lithgow with phone books taped to them looking like samurais having a samurai fight in a prison. So that's the kind of movie we're talking about, Ricochet. As opposed to this, where it's stabbing guys in their eyeballs with the barrel of a gun, which was so intense.
That was a bit extreme.
Yeah. But okay, so to sum this up though, would I recommend this? Yes. I think that if you like fun, like, action movies and good characters, great Denzel, he's always great, just fun to watch. I would recommend it, with the caveat that don't watch it with your children.
I hold it up as the paradigm of what a vigilante movie should be.
And we're going to have to do this again. And we're going to have to, I'm going to have to get you to watch something, I think, next, and watch you hate it. No, I'm just kidding.
No bad movies. You can't deliberately recommend a bad movie.
No.
Recommend a movie you love.
It will definitely be a movie I love, but it'll be fun to kind of see where the differences lie, because this is kind of fun. Like, I love these kinds of movies. It's fun to kind of just. I was thinking of, like, what to title this, and you know how they say, it's not your father's movies. You know, it's not your father's movies. Thinking like this is new and fresh and cool. You know, this is your father's movies. I think this is like one that you and your dad can, like, sit down and watch a guy brutally murder people out of revenge, and can get a kick out of it, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what one of the movies is all about. You know, Kelsey, we can do Westerns.
Oh, I love Westerns.
We can do rock and roll movies.
Rock and roll movies? Like what? Give me an example.
Well, like
Rock of Ages or something?
No. Like Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg. Still Crazy, which is a crazy, great British movie. American Hot Wax, which you can see in its entirety on YouTube right now, about the first rock and roll concert in Brooklyn in 1956 with Jerry Lee Lewis and Chuck Berry.
Oh, wow. I obviously don't know much about rock and roll movies. I think I saw Great Balls of Fire with about Jerry Lee Lewis.
That was Dennis Quaid, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dennis Quaid. I think it might have been why I watched it, because I like Dennis Quaid.
And I suppose you could count La Bamba.
Okay, I've seen La Bamba.
With
that's rock and roll, right?
Joe Diamond Phillips.
Joe Diamond Phillips.
And the Buddy Holly story with Gary Busey.
Gary Busey playing Buddy Holly.
I know it was strange.
Okay, that I might have to see.
But also Bohemian Rhapsody about Queen, and Rocket Man, which I have not seen. But
maybe we should watch one of those. We should like go off and watch Rocket Man and come back and talk about it.
Okay.
Because I love
Elton John.
Elton John music. I mean, it's great stuff. I always think it'd be kind of weird to watch somebody playing Elton John, but I hear this guy is really good and like can sing and stuff. He sings all the music. Did you hear about all that? Like not like in Bohemian Rhapsody, the guy doesn't do all the singing. They just play the original music from Queen. But like this one, apparently the guy does all the singing. So I don't know.
You know, most actors can sing because they understand the dynamics of vocalizing and projecting their voice. And they understand the importance of hitting the melody. A lot of them can't sing well, but there are a lot of actors and actresses that could have made it professionally.
I like this one, School of Rock. That's a fun one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The Doors. I remember that one. That was trippy.
I'd like to see that again.
It's been ages. I don't remember much of it, but Eddie and the Cruisers. I do remember this one. I like this one.
It's got a great soundtrack.
So yeah, some fun stuff. I mean, I love this one. Like this, like we were talking about. What's my speed? Young Guns. I love Young Guns. It's a silly western.
I haven't seen those.
But I also love the Man with No Name trilogy. Excellent movie, right? Series. You know those?
I do. And
spaghetti westerns.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is as I said before, a movie has to take itself seriously before I can take it seriously. And
really,
those spaghetti westerns are too stylized to be taken seriously. And I understand the appeal because people love the style. I mean, it's like an ultra romanticization of what's happened. Yeah. But I don't believe it. I don't believe a word of it because they don't believe it. They say, "Look, don't pretend this is the way it really was. This is the myth we're trying to sell you."
So this thing that we're doing has the potential to be like an Ebert, Siskel and Ebert at the movies, because I love operatic, giant melodramatic action craziness, and you are very grounded in realism and things like that. So
yeah, but there's a lot of great melodramatic craziness that I take seriously.
Okay, so this will be fun. We can discover these things along the way. So we'll definitely have to check. Hey, if you got any suggestions, put them down in the comments below after the show, so we can maybe talk about another movie or a movie series to go through, because this is fun. And we need to show off our book, which I have a trailer for right here. If you think it's a Nexus Scourge.
An ancient evil, billions of years old, wages war on the universe. Entire star systems are vanishing without a trace, leaving devastation in their wake. Nexus, the intergalactic guardian of lost souls, must stop the unnameable terror and its expanding scourge of destruction. The totality of everything in existence will collapse upon itself if he fails. With the fate of the cosmos in the balance, Nexus must confront his most dangerous adversary yet. Can he save creation from total and certain destruction, or will darkness reign supreme? Find out in Nexus Scourge, the all-new epic sci-fi adventure from Eisner-winning co-creator Mike Baron, exploding with Kelsey Shannon's dynamic artwork. Available now at baroncomics.com.
And better than any movie we're going to ever talk about on this show, I guarantee it. But real quick, we got a super chat from Sean Allen for 2 musical notes. Thanks, Sean. Says, great stream. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to call it a day. It's been a blast, everybody. And we'll do this again. I'll let you know. I'll put out smoke signals and whatnot. So adios, everybody. Have a great one. Bye-bye.